Vyke, the Fingerprint Knight, a tarnished warrior who travelled to the lands between in search of the Elden Ring, like so many others. Only Vyke's story was not like so many others. Vyke was one of, if not the only other tarnished apart from ourselves who ever had the opportunity or was close to becoming a lord. A very important keyword there being close, for in a twist that I imagine shocked those at the round table, Vyke sought out the Three Fingers and the Flame of Frenzy and became a candidate for a different type of lordship, a lordship of chaos. But a question that needs to be answered from this was it ever his intention to become marked by the Three Fingers? Did he have a choice in it? Was the maiden that item descriptions tell us of the same maiden who he supposedly inherited the frenzied flame for? Was that even as innocent as it was? There are so many veiled mysteries inside of Vyke, and in today's video we're going to be discussing all of them. Without any dilly-daddling, let's get into it. It always amazes me in From Software's games how much lore can be hidden in such seemingly insignificant design choices, and Vyke is no exception. For example, take Vyke's armour. Vyke's armour is very clearly and very much stated as being branded by the Three Fingers. What's the problem with this? Well, he's just been branded by the Three Fingers, hasn't he? But it's not that simple. For us, the player character, to be branded by the Three Fingers, we must get stark naked with nothing but a loincloth or a bra on. That is how we must be branded. To be able to open the door, that is what we must do. But that doesn't seem to have been the case for Vyke, for he's just got the fingerprint on his armour. Now you could chalk this up to simply being an oversight in the eyes of From Software, but as we've gone over multiple times on this channel, the likely chance of From Software making an oversight is very, very, very unlikely. This idea is further reinforced by the fact that Vyke actually looks like he's been grabbed from behind by the fingers, which is very strange if you're going with the idea that Vyke consensually inherited the frenzied flame. Surely if he wanted to inherit it, he would do the full ritual, get butt naked and let it be grabbed and fondled by these manky hands. But that doesn't seem to have been the case. So what actually happened in this undisclosed location? Of course we're not physically there, so we can't fully know 100% definitive what happened, but I think there's a few points here that we can use to sort of piece together what might have happened. It's my belief that originally Vyke did intend to inherit the frenzied flame, but upon arriving to where he knew of the location, he got cold feet, as anyone probably would when in discussion of annihilating everything that divides and distinguishes. The Three Fingers, though, seemed to have been having none of it, and grabbed him from behind as he tried to flee, and pushed and inflicted and rotted his mind away with the madness of frenzy. You may or may not have noticed that in this whole discussion I have not once said that the Three Fingers at this point in time that we are talking of were down below the Erdtree capital. I don't believe that below the Erdtree capital is where the Three Fingers originally originated from inside of the lands between. As we are told, the nomadic merchants supposedly summoned the Three Fingers and the Flame of Frenzy, but as we are also told, Shabriri is most likely the candidate for actually causing this. You see, in Vyke's item descriptions, it also talks of someone who tried to influence him. But what is the actual reason that Morgott, as we know by the fact that Morgott's seal actually seals the nomadic merchants and the Three Fingers down in the subterranean shunning grounds, what was the actual reasoning that led to them being trapped down there? Well, we are told that they committed a heinous crime, so did Shabriri. For a long time, it's been a really big mystery what this crime exactly was, as we are never told. We have only been able to guess, but I truly believe that Vyke is in fact this crime. I truly believe that whether this was consensual or not, the fact that Vyke was so close to becoming a lord, the fact that he had already many great runes, that he was so close to becoming an Elden Lord, and yet he inherited the frenzied flame, I believe that was the heinous crime. This also plays into something we talked about earlier, where we talked about him not needing to be stark naked. Maybe this door originated from down in the depths of the Erdtree capital. You need to be naked for it, but where Vyke and the Three Fingers met, you didn't need to be naked. I don't know. We really can't know for sure, but the armour set definitely is not just some insignificant oversight. You might be thinking there can't be any more. Well, there bloody certainly is. Something we haven't touched upon much is, in fact, the Maiden. The Maiden that we hear so much about in Vyke's armour set, where it talks about how perhaps he sacrificed everything for her, like we do when we inherit the Frenzied Flame to save Malenia from the fate that is destined for her. Vyke's Maiden can be found lying dead inside a church, and just outside of that church, Vyke invades you, consumed by the Frenzied Flame. Now, I know a lot of people just sort of skip over this part and think, Vyke had nothing to do with this maiden's death. But don't you think it's a bit strange that Vyke just pops up out of nowhere in front of this chapel? You could go down the route that Vyke simply is defending the death site of the one he perhaps loved. But I think there's a much darker truth to this. I believe this maiden was in opposition to what Vyke was doing. My reasoning for believing this: if this maiden was like Hyetta and became a maiden of the Frenzied Flame, she would drop something of the Frenzied Flame. When Hyetta finally has contact with the Frenzied Flame, we get a very certain seal that we can use which boosts Frenzied Flame incantations. But nothing of the sort is dropped from this maiden lying dead in this church. It's my belief that Vyke actually killed his maiden. I don't believe that she died of some tragic fate and Vyke in his sadness decided to seek out the Three Fingers. I believe that Vyke consulted with his maiden about his desire to seek the Frenzied Flame, and when he did, she was opposed to him. Perhaps she even tried to stop him, futile as it was, as she remains dead, clinging to a seat, clutching her chest. Makes you wonder, did she even have a chance? Did she even put up a fight, or did Vyke simply mercilessly kill her? I believe after this occurred, Vyke sought out the Three Fingers, but once he got there, his actions dawned on him. Only it was too late to turn back, and the Frenzied Flame clung to him and infected and rotted his mind away with the power of frenzy. And once all was said and done, and the nomadic merchants were sealed away, Shabriri was hounded as one of the most evil things to have ever existed in the lands between. Vyke returned to the site where he killed the woman he perhaps loved, in spite of her not following his decisions, and now eternally rests there, waiting for whomever may trespass upon his domain, attempting to kill them no matter what. He has also infected the land around his domain, for it is the only place other than the nomadic's tomb that is fully consumed by the Frenzied Flame. Everything is corrupted, from the vegetation to townsfolk to soldiers to even the rats that occupy the area. Everything has the touch of frenzy. Something you might be curious on why I haven't touched upon it is the fact that Vyke can actually be found up in the mountaintop of the Giants in an Evergale. I don't actually think that this is the present Vyke though. I think it's an imprint from a long, long time ago, back when he was in fact in communion with the dragons. Something you might not have known is the fact that Vyke had a very, very close bond with a dragon who would transform from their ancient dragon form into a human form to commune with said humans like Vyke. Only they seem to be a bit more closer than, say, the ordinary communions. I'd honestly love to hear more about this whole side story that we really don't get much information on, but the only other piece of information apart from that we get is the fact that he was also bestowed the blessing of the ancient dragons with red lightning. Something I also want to bring up is the fact that the consequences of Vyke going to the Frenzied Flame might not have been just isolated to the Golden Order, but also the ancient dragons. One of the closest associates of the ancient dragons just up and Frenzied Flames their ass out of there is very, very suspicious, and I imagine tensions would have definitely brewed. Adding on to this, We never actually see Vyke use any dragon incantations when he is in his frenzied flame form outside this church. It's really up for discussion and in the eyes of the beholder whether this was out of madness from the frenzied flame or simply out of shame for the actions. Maybe he didn't want to shame the ancient dragons any more than he already did. Sadly everyone, that is the end of the video. If you did enjoy this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe as it greatly helps the channel. If you are enjoying this style of content, then please let me know down below as it lets me know that you are liking this so I know to continue stuff like this. I really want to start branching out into more From Software topics, not just talking about the lore. I know I have done a few videos like that in the past. The point being, I simply adore these games. Whenever I have free time to play a game, I just play some From Software games, and I love talking about them so much, not just the lore. So if you'd like to see that as well, please let me know and I'll get straight on it. I'm not going to dilly-daddly any more than I already am. I do just want to say I am sorry for not uploading for the last 2 weeks. I've been really busy with Easter and just a bunch of shit, so I hope you can forgive me for that. Anyway, I say I'm not going to dilly-daddly, and then I dilly-daddly. So, I really hope you have a great rest of your day, and may you find your worth in the waking world. Goodbye, everyone.